it's the right combination, it's the right kind of a set, it's the right kind of a team that we have from the far end. If we could have all this particular kind of aggression, like this, people need really to rise up from their comfort zone. It's not right until everybody else feels right. It's not okay. It's not okay. And in fact, recently, it was confirmed that the lingua franco, that thingy of speaking French, has to be dealt away in those particular Western countries, so that they speak the local dialect, so the local language they're supposed to. That's one step ahead. One step in trying to do away.
I think Rwanda has done it.
Rwanda has done it successfully.
This particular time, they are speaking using Rwanda to speak, even to write, even for formal official language. The main official language is Kinyarwanda. But those people are
to Paul Kagame.
but my concern will be Sherlock. I'll be very skeptic to really laud it that much. Because what happens? These people need to interact with other countries. These people need to go to higher institutions of learning in other countries. How will they be scholarly equipped?
Easy. Look at this. How are we learning their ways? In fact, we are using right now something that is foreign. We don't even know whether we are using it rightfully. But we just only convinced that we are able to, simply because I'm making some sound patterns here, and you're able to relate
and
with those sounds.
And we have been taught in our schools.
So, and you're able to relate with those sound patterns. We don't even know what it is. But I want to say that is a good thing. Look at China. China doesn't have to explain itself. They will come to your country, you've told them now, start building this thing. I need this road. And they will be, in fact, they use their signpost. Or their, description, which company is this. You find everything populated in Chinese. They don't care. How are they able to relate?
If you want to learn it,
if you want to
find it on your own.
Or find it on your own. It's up to you.
So do you think it will be challenging?
Hello there. Welcome to this particular show. Still, we're delving into matters in Africa and everything that pertains Africa, by and large. In this show here, we're going this time around to focus on this particular region in Africa, West Africa. And of course, joining with me on this particular topic is a very good friend of mine.
Thank you, Sherlock. It's Rotich David once again. And as Sherlock rightfully introduced, the topic of discussion for this particular segment, we are going to delve into the aspect, the topic, the issue of the Western African states, the coup d'etats, the uprisings kind of way, the secession from ECOWAS, the economic bloc that they had previously. So as we delve into it, of course, I'll remind you to stay right in, don't leave, ensure you subscribe and give us a like, and then comment so that we can engage as we progress with the conversation.
On the same note, on the comment section, don't forget also to drop us your comments of what exactly you think is happening in Africa. What is ailing Africa? Where is Africa headed? Are we headed in the right direction? What needs to be done? Where did the rain start beating us? Now, without that much further ado, what was that? It was in Africa, West Africa. Why did the three states, that is Burkina Faso, Morocco, Niger, and also the states around that particular region, decided to split away from ECOWAS? And what did they realize that was not going well with the ECOWAS that resulted to them to, it's high time that we need to split. And of course, on top of that one, also, we're also going to be looking or delving deeply into the bigger war that is going on between what is physically manifested as those particular coups are going on. Because to me, I don't feel like it's a normal thing that we have these particular coups in Africa. All of a sudden, we have gone like, hey, we are moving, we want to rule ourselves. There has to be something that is ailing that particular region of
very
Africa.
True. And I think it's imperative to lay, of course, in trying to lay down the foundation of them, what we are talking about now, that these three countries, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, they have one thing in common. They have experienced coups in the recent past.
And they were happening successively.
One of the successive ones. So they happened successively, actually. And one of the things they have saying that ECOWAS are trying to undermine them,
yeah.
you know, have sanctions, you know, on them because they are not elected democratically, and they are also saying that ECOWAS is losing the original intention of its formation.
Definitely
that the France and the West generally is controlling it too much, and the spirit of Pan-Africanism is being downplayed.
And I do agree with that particular part where we say that the ECOWAS had always, or it is either becoming a toothless kind of a dog, that any of the implementations that maybe any member states or that are bound to ECOWAS, they want to achieve, doesn't really materialize or doesn't come to fruition. And it could be a reason as to why, and is not even cool, is the reason as to why these guys will be like, no, this one doesn't have to continue anymore. We know what we want, and we don't want people who are puppets to the West to keep on telling us that, hey, things are okay, cool, and these are and that is the reason as to why all these particular three, the Sahel region, the Triple Entente, if we may, that they form this particular alliance of the Triple Entente, that hey, we need to see if we're able to govern ourselves. And I see that that is a good thing, unless otherwise there is an ulterior motive. But again, maybe something also to bring on board is this one. There is, you see, the West has a way of trying to find itself. Itself in these particular countries. We know we have France. We know most of those particular Western countries previously, predominantly, they have been colonies of French, France, isn't it? And France will not want to lose grip of the West. And so for them to be able to continue or perpetuate their existence there, they will have to cause some mayhem. Let's destabilize these so that
we can continue. Actually, you realize even the currencies of most of these states are founded upon the French currency. That's why they have the CFA after each and every currency. You know, we have the Rwandan franc, the CFA, the Chad one, they still have the CFA. Most of these countries have this thing in common.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think France still wants to control the resources that these countries have, the natural resources. They still want to control the economies of these particular countries. They want them to be storing, their international reserves.
Exactly.
In France. Yeah, so they want to benefit from these particular states. But I have a concern, Shalom.
Yes.
My concern is these three states, the alliance of the Sahel states.
I like to call them the Triple Entente.
The Triple Entente of West Africa.
Of West Africa.
Are saying that they are moving their interests and their allegiance from the traditional West to Russia and Asia. So that is moving from one slave master to the other. What do you say about that?
Sometimes it's good to try to, of course, you would want to see that if this particular slave master is maybe heavy, or his lord is so heavy, you'd want also sometimes, no, this has been too heavy and I can't bear this one anymore. Let me try the other slave master. But again, you also realize, not slave master in this particular context. Let us just, because in fact, I even call for that. I say it is good, at least let's have change of things, change of status quo. It does not have to be business as usual. And Russia comes in also to, I would say, let's say, for example, to offering the technological army kind of an advice on how they are able to counter attack all the aggressions that, let's say, for example, France might be feeling if, this particular, their colonies are trying to, to elude them. So it's like, hey, Russia has to come in. But I don't think that Russia would just come in with their own conditions, because the pretext will be these particular countries, what they are putting in place. They will say, hey, you Russia, you are coming, but this is what we want you here for. You train our army here, give us all those particular technical skills that we need in maneuvering through, especially when we are counter-attacking any aggression from outside. And something that, of course, Russia has, interestingly agreed on, the Wagner Group. We have the Wagner Group in the West.
Does Russia stand to benefit?
I think Russia will benefit from, you see, the West Africa is endowed with those particular mineral resources.
We automatically changing from one master to the other, which is rightly unfortunate. But one thing we have to take into consideration is the issue of the population of these states. ECOWAS is made up of so many states which have very serious populations.
Very true.
These three countries combined,
together,
even their GDP is not substantive.
That is not substantive.
It cannot even threaten the rest of the ECOWAS. So is the alliance of Sahel states really
feasible?
Yeah, visible. Is it really visible?
Look. This is in fact.
If you go to Rwanda right now, I'm told if you can speak fluent English, you will be eligible for so many job opportunities when as compared to someone who speaks Kinyarwanda only.
Which is also one way of method of conquering African unity. They realized that these member states or these particular fragments of Africa, if they were united, speaking in the same common language, they are doomed, or they will be doomed literally. Imagine all the 54 member states. South Africa, you go to South Africa, unatwanga yako, and you are like, hey, you guys, I can get what you're saying.
Even Swahili is one of the things, languages they were proposing that we should use. But it remains, to be seen what the Alliance of Sahel states will achieve. Simply because of the GDP, the population of the states, vis-a-vis the other nations within the ECOWAS. Of course, ECOWAS is the economic bloc, governing the West African states.
Yes,
we have the South African bloc, the SADC. We have the COMESA for the Central and Southern African. We have the East African, the EAC, East African Community Bloc. And all these blocks were being initiated in pursuit of trying to, in preparation for the future unification of Africa. We remain to see what the Sahel states will achieve. And I really hope they don't fail us. Because Traore, Goita, and Abdurrahman, Chiani, it remains to be seen what they will achieve. But I hope they don't disappoint us.
In fact, they will not, unless it is just another cloud that we are following here. The likes of Ibrahim Traore, they have publicly on different platforms and different stages, even with the Russian African Summit that was held late last year, if not early this year. Ibrahim Traore stood up and said that no, it is high time that we are given the mantle. It's high time that Africans are given that particular mantle, being able to govern themselves without any external input. And I feel like it should start from there, because let's work with our own faults. Let's work with our own weaknesses, because unless you know how much you can do and how much you cannot do, you don't realize the difference between what you can achieve and what you
we should have to try something, change
that is totally
and do something different,
totally different. Now which also brings in the whole idea of African to be united. But of course, this particular issue of the reason of the Sahel region, that is the Triple Entente, I love to refer to them as Triple Entente, splitting away from the ECOWAS, is a sign that either these leaders failed on their mandate and to execute their mandates effectively. And of course, you realize that the grievances wouldn't be like, hey, why are you partnering with, let's say, for example, the Eastern Bloc or the Southern Bloc or the Northern Bloc? It has always been supporting ideologies, fake ideologies, and non-working and incompetent ideologies from the West. But of course, ideologies...
The West are just perpetuating their
interest here in Africa. And so if, let's say, ECOWAS is just trying to perpetuate that one and without saying anything, and there they are, we are leaders, so if anything goes wrong, we are here to, make things matters. No. It doesn't have to be. If something's wrong, it's wrong. And of course, I would say the worst thing was the coups happening. It wasn't supposed to be happening like that, but to some leaders who are the puppets of the West, who are perpetuating the idiosyncrasies of the West here in Africa, they had to be strongly uprooted so that the new regime, especially the young regime of Ibrahim Traore and the likes, as you've said, they take the mantle and see that particular place. In fact, I hear that Ibrahim Traore I also stand corrected.
Yeah.
Do drop me your comments or your comments on the comment section. Let us exactly also know from if where you're listening us from, and if this one touches you, and you are among the people who are affected by such kind of leaders and some of the West. Do drop us your comments on the comment section and tell us where you're watching us from, and also what needs to be done by Africans, right? And the way forward for the Africans, especially those ones in the diaspora. So what I was saying before I alluded into this particular statement is that we need people of ideas or opinion that are much stronger than other people's values and standpoints. People who show some uniqueness, and if it means that it is by barbarism, then it means diplomacy has failed. So, but we aren't at that particular point where diplomacy has failed. That we can say now coups happening in Africa, that's a barbaric way of going around things. It was Paul Kagame who was in support. In fact, even the Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, he was in support of those particular coups. He was like, oh, if these people have failed, people like Yoweri Museveni is a no-nonsense guy. He doesn't attain anything from the West. In fact, he was, I don't know if you remember the last time he was talking about even the clothes in Uganda. They don't have to be second-hand, those particular shipped goods people. And in fact, he was deliberately saying that they are clothes of the dead people. And then they're shipped into that
and
country.
Kenya has grappled with the same situation too. And when you talk about Ibrahim Traore, as usual, you remind me of my hero, personal hero, Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara of Burkina Faso. One of the fathers of Burkina Faso. Thomas Sankara once said that to achieve some great things in life, some amount of madness is needed. We do not have to just be sane and try to do things normally. We require some amount of madness. And there's even in a certain form. Madness is very, very, very essential. And even he went ahead and said that, reminded the African leaders that if he defies the West on his own, he can be killed. Of course, he was killed later in 1987. But he said, if I go against these people on my own, I'll be assassinated. But if all of us unite, unanimously in one voice, object the perpetual, oppression of the African people, they cannot kill all of us. So one of the things that really isolates great leaders from some of the African states is the issue of isolation. Because if each and every state focuses on its own interests, then we lose. When all of us are called to countries, the 55 of us, we do not have a unified, voice on the things that we need. It becomes a problem. But again, it trickles back to the issue of economics. Because in Africa now, we cannot afford to finance our own initiatives, our own things, which is unfortunate due to corruption and other issues. So even if you say that we do not want to import second-hand clothes, is your country in a position to manufacture its own clothes? Has it done so? Is there a factory which has sufficiently been able to dress all your citizens? Is that in pursuit of limiting the ability to choose for your citizens? So we have a lot of things that we really have to seriously look into. Which also trickles down on the same point. Which again further trickles down to the status quo, the ideologies. It has always been the plan of the colonizer that not to see Africa rising above standards. Why don't we have, let's say for example, coffee processing industries in Kenya, or maybe in any part of Africa that produces coffee, and you find that coffee that goes out is the machineries, the technicalities that have to make sure that this coffee is processed and refined are out there. Why don't we have such? And we import them.
And we again
import them back. And you know one thing that is very interesting about African states, when people who understand economics, I'm not deeming myself an expert on the same, but they know something called balance of trade equilibrium. When we talk about the balance of trade equilibrium for a country like Kenya, it's always imbalanced. The balance of trade
has to be.
Actually, when we are talking about that concept in Kenya, we do not say balance of trade equilibrium. We say balance of trade disequilibrium, because it's never been balanced.
It has never been balanced.
Why has that been the case? Because we import more than we export. And then when you find yourself in a situation where you export a raw material and import a finished product, you will always be on the disadvantage. Because a raw material is not as expensive. You do not gain a lot from a raw material because the utilities have not been added into it. You know, utilities come in to increase the value of that particular product. If I have a tree that I have planted in my own farm, and I decided to sell it to you, I'll sell it to you, maybe say I'll sell it to you for 10,000 Kenya shillings. And then you, of course, divide it, come up with timber and whatnot to sell it to other people. You will have 3 or 5 times the same amount that I sold you with. That is the problem, you know, with Kenya and African countries. We have the balance of trade disequilibrium. We take our raw materials, we sell them, and then we import finished products. So I think we need to look into the economics of Africa if we have to really work on the politics, work on the pride, and work on the
talk itself,
political oppression.
On the same note, exactly, walking the talk. And as you've just already said, that you know, the balance of payments, they're not favoring Africans. And of course, this has always been, and I said, and strongly, without any fear of contradiction here, that it has always been a pretext. It has been like that will be the status quo for the Africans. The processing, the value, the adding value, the utilities on that particular product is going to come back to Africa. So Africans will be paying more for the same product that they shipped out, which will obviously and always at all times see Africans dwindling or trying to moving backwards. And I say this one as we're trying to come to an end, that Africans are not poor. And Africans are not divided. And if they're divided, the only essence of division is we have other players from outside. And I would really say this one, that if the triple entente, my favorite in this particular context, if they don't really look carefully, there are also others who are going to take advantage of their separateness, you know, trying to separate themselves and use them to also continue splitting Africa into many blocks and perpetuate their interests. It is really high time that, guys, we out there also we play a very superior game, because here it is just the mind game and it's not just a physical. It's not how big, how large you are. We are endowed with resources, and if we really want to put this one into a proper use, meaningful use, and productively benefiting from it, it's high time that this particular unity, even as my friend has just alluded to, that we Africans, whether you are in the diaspora, local here at home, we need to be able to embrace a certain form of unity. And I don't know where we even categorize North Africa, the countries like Egypt and the rest. But again, that is for the next episode. But again, guys, it has been really informative, and it really eats me up to see Africans still languishing in poverty, yet it is one of the richest continent globally. And I don't know, what is your take, final take as far as this, you know?
I think it's in trying to emancipate Africa from the shackles of political oppression and economic backwardness. Discourses like this ones, you joining us, commenting, telling us what we need to talk about, we express, you know, the things that are going through, the Africans are going through, and highlighting them, goes towards, you know, achieving that particular agenda. So join us next time also as we delve into the African issue. We talk about matters Africa, the economics and the politics and the social influence and whatnot. Thank you for tuning in, and of course staying into till the end of the episode.
It's been good, really.